Mm. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Malik Hodge, the angel warrior of the Midwest and a messenger of the covenant, representing the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals, the self-taught one, Master Suleiman, who has given us the Injil, the gospel of revelations, with the Injil key that gives us the understanding of the unsealed scriptures. This is Update with Malik Hodge on this Monday, August the 8th, 2020. This is where we take current events and give the explanation of them from the Injil, the unsealed scriptures, and give you the understanding from the unsealed scriptures of the time and how each topic fits with what's taking place in the world today. So, let us get started. Where will we start today? Let's begin with Joe Biden. His first trip out, or first thing he did since his first trip out of his 17 days that he's been in isolation. However, let's get to it. U.S. President Joe Biden and his First Lady Jill Biden are greeted by Governor Andy Beshear, and they arrived in Kentucky on August 8th at least 37 people have been killed in flood that have devastated the state. U.S. President Joe Biden surveys flood damage in Kentucky. The trip is Biden's second to Kentucky, which has been hard hit by a number of devastating natural disasters. U.S. Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden traveled to Kentucky to meet with families and view damage from storms that have resulted in the worst flooding in Kentucky's history. At least people have died. At least 37 people have died since last month's deluge, which dropped 8 to 10.5 inches, 200 to 270 of rain in 48 hours. 270 mm's. The National Weather Service said Sunday that flooding remains a threat. Warnings of more thunderstorms through Thursday. The Bidens were greeted by Governor Andy Beshear and his wife Brittany when they arrived in the eastern Kentucky. They drove to see devastations from the storms in Breathitt County, stopping at the site where a school bus carried by floodwaters crushed into a partially collapsed building. Attending a briefing on the flooding impact with first responders and recovery specialists at Maria Roberts Kearney Elementary School in the Lost Creek, Biden pledged the continued support of the federal government. Where we are not leaving, he said, as long as it takes. We're going to be here. Biden emphasized that politics have no place in disaster response. Nothing has frequent political battles with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. We battle all the same on issues, Biden said, but in helping Kentuckians rebuild, we're all one team. The Bidens were later scheduled to tour another hard-hit community in the state and meet directly with those affected. Monday visit is Biden's second to the state since taking office last year. He previously visited in December after tornadoes whipped through Kentucky, killing 77 people and leaving a trail of devastation. So, as you see, Biden's first trip out, he goes to see the people that's been devastated in Kentucky. Last year, Kentucky was devastated by a tornado that killed 77 people. This year, the floods come through and wipe another 37 people. They're still in, right now, until Thursday, they're in thunderstorm watch mode because they're expecting more storms to come through from today through Thursday. The radar Doppler shows that they can receive storms, so they're keeping an eye out on storms because they're still in a potential flooding, have potential to flood. What does that say? What's taking place? And we know about old Kentucky and their bigotry and their racist nature. Now, when these tornadoes come through and these floods, look at the area that they're tearing up. the people that they're, you know, these, whipping on, taking out. Just gotta, when you're looking at it through the eyes of what's taking place and what time it is, what time that we're living in, that America is in their judgment period. They're being judged for their wickedness and this holocaust they put the black man and woman through. So you can run, but somehow there's no place to hide when a flood comes through and pulls you out of your hiding spots, make you have to run to the top of your house, have your house floating down the street. You can hide up under something, try to get away from a tornado, but the water will go into the lowest depths and pull the ground, make the ground flood out, and mud cover you up and take your house. That flood is a pretty devastating thing to deal with. But for just giving a perspective and what the scripture said, that we're going to use the weather, and it's going to keep being used. And as you can see over the country, one devastation after the next: fires, floods, heat. Just it hasn't been a day without some type of catastrophe taking place in America from the weather. So looking at it, and Biden stepped out from his plague, COVID C-19 having, and he's back on the move. So with that, let us go to our next topic. Just something to be paying attention to. Last year 77 tornadoes, this year floods. Looking at, you think you got away, you think you're getting away. No. Consequence. It's the main thing you got to know, that you're going to have to deal with the consequences. That you don't get away. You're not going to get away. Okay. Now, this is another let's just get into it. War brings desperation and danger to Ukraine farmers, and the world feels the pain. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has upended the operation of what was the world's fourth largest grain export with global consequences. In Novopolko, Ukraine, on a ferociously hot summer morning, a pair of traders rumbled through a field of green, spraying squat sunflower stalks ahead of the harvest that has taken on greater significance than ever beyond this form outside the central Ukraine city of Dnipro. Russian invasion of Ukraine upended the working of what before the war was the world's fourth largest grain export. Almost 6 months into Moscow's blockade of the Black Sea, the primary outlet of Ukraine's wheat and oilseeds exports, more than 22 million tons of grains and other crops remain stranded inside the country with nowhere to go and fewer places for storage. An internationally block broker deal began allowing some cargo ships to set sail from Ukraine last week, but their freight represents a tiny fraction of the total awaiting liberation. Worse yet, the Logium is set to grow. Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky said, with the 2022 wheat harvest already being reaped, while last year's sits trapped, countries that rely on Ukraine wheat are already suffering, on top of pandemic supply chain disruptions and Western sanctions on Russia oil and gas. The sharply reduced wheat supplies have already triggered a 25% increase in the price of bread in war-torn, poverty-ranked Yemen and Nigeria, another major importer of Ukraine's wheat. The price increase is double that. As a result of that additional stress, the number of people marching to starvation around the globe has risen to 345 million. World Food Program's Chef David Beasley told the House Foreign Affairs Committee on July 20th about 50 million people in 45 countries are knocking on famine's door. He added, now, inflation's on wheat. Countries' wheat supplies are down. Bread prices are rising double and some higher than double due to the war in Ukraine, due to the war with Russia and Ukraine. Now, um, many people or people were trying. The West was trying to really blame the blockage or blame the reason that it is a blockage on Russia invasion of Ukraine. However, the invasion of Ukraine is really a proxy war that America, that Ukraine has put their self against Russia, and they just been a pawn. Vladimir Zelensky has been a pawn for America and the UN. Instead of making a agreement with Putin, Russia's president, and ensuring that UN wasn't going to bring in any nuclear weapons to Russia's borders, and keeping everything smooth, he took money. I don't know, I forget the number amount, how much America paid him. However, America has pushed for this war in the UN. America has put $24 billion into this Ukraine war. So, whose fault is it that these countries are not receiving the grains, and that the grains are being backed up? Now, last year's grain supply is still there, and this year's grain supply is being harvested. So it's putting a stress all over the country, all over the world. So looking at it from the India perspective, with the grains sitting in Ukraine and winter fastly approaching, grain supplies down in countries. Grain supplies are also down are extremely high in European countries. Their grain supplies, because they depend on Ukraine as well. With Putin cutting off oil, dictating how much, when, and if this grain can be moved, and when it can, who's suffering? But when you're dealing with the UN, when you're dealing with America, they always try to give you a certain rule of engagement of what to use and what not to use. But they threaten to put nuclear weapons on your border. You ask them time and time again. They said it was basically a 20 year, for 20 years, Putin been trying to get them to sign something to keep them from trying to put nuclear weapons on the borders of Russia. Putin said eventually he knew he was going to war with America and the UN. So with America and the UN, not ceasing the push on putting weapons up there of nuclear weapons, having live military drills in the Black Sea, taunting Russia, causing, this problem, forcing them to have to engage into this war. And then won't have the audacity to act like they're upset that this is Russia's oil. Russia's oil. This is theirs. The pipeline. Oh, that's theirs. So now he's got even the grains that people need. But UN and America tried to destroy these Russia's economy, their lifeline, trying to shut down and sanction them in every way, to bring them to their knees, to make them submit, and then have the audacity to act like they got a problem with the rules of engagement when you're trying to assault their lifeline, their country, you're trying to take them out. And they want to give some directions. They're weaponizing gas or oil. They're weaponizing the grains. When America weaponizes anything they want. So, from the India perspective, America is going to bite off more than it can chew. These countries, with winter coming on, with lack of food, when Russia completely cuts that gas off and the temperatures drop because Europe is known for the cold weather. Germany, without Russian oil, Russian gas, how they gonna go to war? They're being told to take a shower, wipe your butt and your genitals and under your arms and your face, and that's it. Don't get in a whole shower. Don't heat the water up. So when the weather gets 10 below or 20, how cold does it get over there, and they can't take a cold shower, a hot shower, I mean. They don't have no heat in their houses. They're already sharing with their people to get ready for a harsh winter. So when these things start to happen, And America's sitting over here. They got heat. They ain't suffering from no heat, at least. But what do you think? These people are going to sit there and take this foolishness from the government? Hell no. They gonna tell the government, we are freezing. We're hungry. We need. Why are we doing this? This America put. Why is we doing this? Why? Why we rolling with America on this when they didn't spend 20 day ones pushing this? Why are we against the one? Have you ever heard that word? When you bite the hand of one to feed you. Why would you attack somebody where you get food from, your gas? It doesn't even make sense. But that's the reasoning in the mind that it don't even make sense. But that's what they'll be dealing with come this winter. And they're gonna have to make a decision. They rolling with America, and they gonna sit up and go through having no gas, no heat, no running water, no grains. See how long that lasts. However, those for the India, we know what it already shared. Won't last long before it backfires on America. Well, that's it on that. So let's move on to our next topic. Yes, I'm gonna speak on that because I wasn't gonna do it. However, it's an area close. Probable monkeypox case found in Topeka area, Kansas Department of Health and Environment. As the United States have declared a public health emergency concerning the outbreak of the monkeypox virus, health officials in Kansas announced Monday that a probable case had been identified in Shawnee County. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment said in a news release that lab testing in the county had identified one case of a close contact contained to be household contained to a household, there the origin is believed to have come from a out-of-state visitor, the health agency said. The individual are working with KDHE to identify contacts who may have been exposed, the state agency said in a statement, adding that further details about the case would not be shared to protect the privacy of those exposed to the illness. If KDHE and Shawnee County Health Department does not contact you, you have not had a high risk exposed to in the case. So what? So the virus is typically spread through close skin and skin contact with the infected person. Examples of such contact include vaccine for the virus or being made available to those with known high risk exposures, though the extreme limited supply is unavailable to Kansas, who have not been identified as possible carriers by state officials. The state intends to expand the availability of the vaccine when more doses are available, the agency says. So, that the monkeypox, I mean, it's an outbreak. This virus is its origin and what it the area to where it there sure it stems from. San Francisco just didn't quit counting. They didn't quit taking counts of the monkeypox cases. Like literally. And they like, we're gonna have to count damn near everybody in San Francisco, cause it comes it's festered and it's been reported to 98% of it comes from the gay and queer community and trans. So the gay and queer and trans community, you know, San Francisco is you know, is high on the list. And it's something that, with it being in that community and the gay and queer community, the sexual social network, I mean, the gay community has a social sexual network. What I mean, that's I don't explain that. However, it's something that you can almost get used to seeing, because gay queer community has found itself all over the country, everywhere. They've been exonerated. They've been given a pass to get same-sex marriages. It's nothing wrong. This is the nature of this country. I mean, they don't have a problem with, it's totally against nature. It's against the laws. It's against God's laws, homosexuality. But it's not against the country laws. I mean, they approve it. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, in their eyes. So this backlash is coming from it. You might as well get used and protect yourself from any little bump-ins with it, because the people you have people all around you that are gays and queers. So every day you're bumping into gays and queers moving around, and this is where this disease, this virus, is stemming from. The majority is from. This is their information. It's stemming from sex, multiple sex partners, anal sex. This is what the environment. What is they call the environment? The doctors are saying about it. So it's not my touch. It's not me putting nothing on it. It's just the facts. And with that, looking at it from the angel perspective, you know what time it is. I mean, the nation going down. I mean, you see it. Sodom and Gomorrah. But they don't, they act like this is a righteous country. They can do whatever they want to do. They can go in and out of people's country. I mean, this is America. Anything goes. Everything goes. And then they want to play like they don't know this is the devil's situation. This is the devil. This is... come on, man. It's evident. Shit. I mean, you got God's people here. You had them for 400 years. And look at you. Look. Say no. It's a sinful place. Sinful. Full of it. Let us move on to the next. Before I run, we'll be here a little late if I have, because this is. Let us get to the Middle East. And everybody know we on update. We update you about the Middle East, because this is where we're at in time. This is where the war in the Middle East is going to break out. This is what is going to bring us to the War of Armageddon, the spark that's going to kick off the War of Armageddon, the abomination of desolation. Now, before we get into that one, let's say that. Alright, we're going to speak on we the in false Israel, the Gaza Strip, and that's 72 and 55, and the 3 days of clashes. The ceasefire took place at 11:30 last night in Gaza. Over 1,000 missiles was shot towards false Israel. False Israel escalated the tensions. False Israel is pushing through Palestinian homes, going door to door. If you listen to False Israel, they're searching for Palestinian, Iranian proxies, the Islamic Jihad members. However, they're going through everyone's house. They're searching every house and home. They're only going through the Palestinian homes and areas. They call this what, Operation, what is it? Operation Breaker. I got it here. That they've been stirring up, pushing through homes, looking for any male or any persons that are standing up as a Palestinian against false Israel's bullying tactics. This is a extremely consistent bullying tactic that false Israel is using to act like, to get Iraq to cause and inciting the Palestinian people, inciting these Palestinian, what they call them, Iranian proxies or jihad, Islamic Jihad. You know this because you have to just listen that fit a Palestinian that fits a Palestinian what they call that, a profile. that says that you are, that the profile that they're giving is you're a terrorist opportunist. You have the opportunity to be a terrorist against false Israel because you're standing up and will go to war or stand up for your people and fight against false Israel. So you're a terrorist to us. And they're pushing through, looking and trying to distort and taking the narrative that all Palestinians, if you listen to what Benny Gantz says, why he's speaking, we're going to get rid of any Palestinian defiance, basically, is what he's saying. Any of them that are going to come against us or defy our what we want or what we're doing. Some dictator mess. Or this is what they're forcing them. They're blocking streets, they was blocking the street before these things happened. And then as the people got riled up, as they're going to arrest people and going into people's homes, people that, it's people that's going to be speaking against you because they are against what you're doing to their people, and they're going to stand up against you. They're going to speak out against you. But they're going in, riling these people up, going through their homes, and then airstrike. They airstriked the people. Talking about they're making threats. They gonna start talking stuff, or they gonna start talking about what they gonna do. So they airstruck them. They use their Air Force to airstrike them. Airstrike the Palestinian, airstruck Gaza Strip. And then act like when I read this thing, I'm telling you this before I read it, because when I read it, this is what he's saying. Act like after they airstriked the Gaza Strip, they wasn't supposed to shoot no missiles or nothing back at false Israel. We was just retaliate. False Israel want to put it as if they induced us to airstrike them because they was talking about what they gonna do, and they gonna come, and but they the ones pressing the people to even get up in this uproar. So they airstrike them. Then they gonna, okay, let's read. Anyway, the Secretary of the Islamic Jihad, the enemy amid to break Islamic Jihad, but we didn't break. On the contrary, we made an achievement, and we forced the conditions that we started the battle for with the enemy. Simply, this is how simple the deal was. The achievement is clear. False Israel committed to releasing our prisoners, the brothers Khalil Awala and Shaleen Bassam. This is the essence of the deal. Secondly, in general, we secured in this deal about the unity of the Palestinian people and the unity of Palestine Square. This is simple. Our position, we work during this battle on the unity of the Palestinian Square. When we raise this slogan, it is a challenge to the Zionist project, and not only the Zionist project, but to all of the conspiracies which are made to separate the Palestinian people, to keep Gaza separated as a separate project. The West Bank is another project, and 48 Israeli Arab cities are on a separate project planner. Prior to his press conference, he met with the leader of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, Major General Salamini. However, this is what Benny Gantz had to say. The Islamic Jihad leader which sits abroad in restaurants and is hosted in hotels in Tehran, Syria, and Lebanon, is disconnected from its people and fatally harms the lives and livelihood of Gaza residents. They will also pay the price. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards will not pay the salaries of the residents of Gaza. The offensive effort against the terror instigators will continue to intensify without boundaries or limitations. The Benny Gantz. We eliminate and will continue to eliminate many terrorists that plan to launch rockets. Listen to this. Planned to launch rockets. All that came from false Israel pushing through homes, taking people to jail, snatching up so-called leaders and putting them in jail, and they got the talking or complaining, and they got airstruck. Then they want to play like they're the good guys. They're the good guys now. They listen to this. Hold up. And they're gonna continue. We'll continue to eliminate many terrorists that plan to launch rockets and mortars to false Israel. Retract dozens of military installations which utilized by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad for manufacturing and launch of rockets. and troops of the Iron Dome, where I'm currently at, will continue to protect the home front with eyes on the target continuously. Now, Benny Gantz, let's sit up. False Israel's commander. What I put? He's the head of the military. He's calling the shots. When they struck Gaza, he didn't care nothing about them people. When they're kicking in homes, when they're going through, sending their military through, just going door to door, terrorizing them people. When they're bombing, airstriking Gaza, he didn't care about them people. But he want to act like they're disconnected. He gets up here and speak like he's speaking on behalf of the Palestinian people. They show the picture, and he gets up there and act like, you see this picture? This is what the Gaza Strip look like. And the secretary, he's out, and the Iran, with the Iran's presidents and leaders in hotels in Tehran and doing like they're disconnected with the people on the ground. And if you listen, the man said they're trying to separate the Palestinian people. They got projects that they're working on. And if you see that they got these things they're carrying, they're working in projects. They're working on each little spot, trying to bring this they trying, like the man said, like the secretary, they're trying to separate the people, but they come together. And Benny Gantz trying to act like false Israel got the Palestinian people in their best like they're concerned about the Palestinian people. Try to bring up try to have their news people bring up video trying to discern what happened and see this is what happened. And another source said that they couldn't confirm it from the video footage. Couldn't be confirmed. But they want to make it, this is what happened. And they're disconnected with what's taking place on the ground with Gaza. When false Israel was the one bombing Gaza. They don't care about them people. Like he care, and they're gonna keep fighting this terror no matter what. You gotta listen to what he's saying. There ain't no stop, and there's no limit or boundaries. So when he's telling you there's no limit or boundaries, they'll blow up and go through and do anything, no matter which children or nothing. So they'll act like they got they doing something responsibly or they care about what's taking place. No, they don't care about the Palestinians. They never have. They sitting on their land. And from an angel perspective, we're not even going to go there yet. We're going to go to the next topic. I'm gonna go to the next topic before I even hit that out, because we're really out of time. However, we're gonna hit this real quick before we get out of here. Now, the topic that is the key, is the spark to where we are today in time. The JCPOA. Iran nuclear program. Now, the European Union Commission labels this round of talks of the JCPOA as the last efforts. The last efforts. These proceedings have been described as a driver stepping on the gas pedal, but the car gear remains in neutral. Joseph Barrels, the mediator, he said he's been working hard for the last 2 months, trying to get the two sides just back to speaking, back to the table. He blamed America. Said the blame is really on America. Donald Trump stepping out of the agreement, and now they don't want to. They don't want to. They don't trust. They don't want to go in. He don't know how to. He's trying to get them to come in or come to talk. He said, but from his perspective, that Iran ain't, they're not budging. They're not looking. They don't, America is not willing to concede or offer them or take. They already let them know where they stand, and they're letting America know where they stand. So the European Union shared, the time has come for one last effort to talk about the most recent proposal. The proposal, it was already a proposal that was written on both sides' behalf by Joseph Barrels. So the proposal's up, and the European nations said, hopefully they'll sign this proposal because it's a good one. It's a good one. They should, take what we give them. Like, take what we're giving you or else. So you got to always pay attention to how You can hear something every time you just listen to the wording of what they say. You can hear exactly what's on their mind and what they really saying to you. Any thinking person can. So you just think that, well, anyway, Joseph Barrow said, in his eyes, he don't, he's tried his hardest, but he don't see it. He don't see Iran submitting, or basically even, he don't see it. From this recent proposal from the representatives, and to talk clear, decisive political decisions in the capitals of countries which participate in the JCPOA. So Iran came up, and in the interview, or during the interview, or the talks, they let it be known that if America, y'all stand on what y'all standing on, we gonna stand on what we standing on. They said, well, it doesn't look good because both sides are not willing to submit or make changes or to give in. And that's what's been taking place already. So we're coming to that time. They're saying that this is the last effort. They said, well, so you see them at the end saying, well, this might not be, this effort here might not just be, this may not be the scrape or the last one. However, everyone in this, the people between the one sitting in between making the deals and negotiating them, the European Union or Commission, because they're not speaking directly. Iran is not speaking directly to America or Britain. So the ones that are negotiating or speaking, they're working through, have mentally given up and said that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I really don't see it. I don't see Iran. I don't see them giving in. So, as we round this up with this evening's topics, we round it up from an angel perspective. Joe, he's been plagued and hit with the plague. He's out of a 17-day isolation, and he's out looking at the destruction that Kentucky has received from floods. His last time he was there, he was looking at the devastation from tornadoes. 77 died in the tornadoes. 37 is died in the floods. And they're preparing or staying on alert for another chance of flooding from throughout this week till Thursday. So, from an NGO perspective, this area has been hit not once severely, but twice. One from a tornado, one from a flood. America is being judged. Kentucky, it's known for its bigotry and prejudice nature as we was coming up through there. So look at the areas that the flood came through and chopped down on them. Look at the area that the tornadoes came through and twisted the ground up, the mud, the foundations up out of the homes. America's in their time of destruction. The monkeypox, this old gay, queer, trans, Sodom and Gomorrah, unnatural, against the laws of God, against righteousness. And we legalized it. It's legalized in the eyes of this country. Same-sex marriage is legalized. But it's still against nature. It's not natural. It's still against the laws of the God. So, don't worry about it. It's legalized. So take that monkeypox and see if you can legalize that with false Israel taking this bully approach on the Palestinians. We are at that time at the JCPOA that they're calling it quits. This is the time we've been speaking about, and this is the time that we're in today's time. The JCPOA, the Joint Plan of Action, the nuclear plan of 2015 has failed. It's failed. It's already been shared that it's going to fail. They're not going back up under the foot of the nations. We've been making this clear since 2020. Master Suleiman has been making it clear since 1990. 30 years ago. But we've been on this, letting you know what's taking place ahead of time. This abomination of desolation, this war in the Middle East that the JCPOA is going to be the spark to. Now, this is a direct message from them. The European, they say, this is the last effort. And even after the last effort, no one sees anything that's going to change from either side. So, the abomination of desolation. This JCPOA is going to spark the war in the Middle East. False Israel. They're already at war with Iran. They think they're slick, but if you know and you can look ahead and see what's taking place, they're attacking close. They're attacking inside of Gaza, because they forced this motion because they're carrying out a war tactic that they have to start carrying out because of the closeness of the Palestinians and Gaza and the Islamic Jihad troops is inside of Palestine, and Palestine is in Jerusalem, or Palestine. That the whole false Israel is in Palestine, so they on their land, so they're surrounded by, they're living amongst a enemy that wants them out of their land, and they want them dead. So they have already started exterminating. Listen to Benny Gantz. They already started the ground war to exterminate these close-knit Iranian Islamic troops that are in Gaza. They're already at war. They're already starting their motion to bag up, and they're doing it. You can see this a mile away if you looking at what's being said and what's happening. So then it started attacking the infrastructure of Gaza, of the Palestinians, trying to knock them out, because they're planning, and they know any day that they're already planning things that fell apart. Their missions to sabotage the nuclear program, they haven't even spoke on that. They probably got another unit or group trying to sabotage Iran's nuclear program, but you have to keep your eyes and look at what they're doing. They're talking about somebody being aggressive when they're the aggressor. They're forcing this action. They bomb first. They're looking, and they're not. Benny Gantz, listen to Benny Gantz said that they're not. What did Benny say? We eliminate and will continue to eliminate many terrorists that plan to launch rockets, but they ain't plan. They had to launch some damn rockets. You didn't already struck them. They was talking about you picking up, going through their homes and picking up their officials, or their older, what they call them, their elders, their older men, the ones that got knowledge and how to protect. That you are going through, and you snatching them up. So the first thing you do is go collect, go through and start picking up everybody that looks like they can be a terrorist, or they can stand up for their country and come against us. So we gonna start going to pick them up. Anybody that got any type of knowledge or any base of military, so we're gonna go get all of them. We're gonna go get them all, and that's what you're saying. And you're gonna keep this up, and you're gonna keep utilizing this, which you gonna keep. That's That's what Benny Gantz is saying. And they're going to keep doing it. And they to intensify without boundaries or limits. So, false Israel has already started the attack. However, this abomination of desolation, the JCPOA, we're at that point, brothers and sisters. This is where we are in this time in the world arena of and in the scriptures. From the unsealed scripture standpoint, we are at the tip of the war in the Middle East, which is the abomination of desolation, the war between Michael and his angels, Iran and Syria, Master Fraud Muhammad, Iran and Syria, that we're going to war with the dragon and his angels, the house of Saudi Arabia, America and Britain, false Israel, and the 6 other Sunni nations that have made an alliance with false Israel in a Abraham Accord that is against the true seed of Abraham, accord that they have all made an alliance with. They have common enemies, common values, because they know what is causing this. They know that they're not the true seed of Abraham. They know that they haven't been passed over. They know who the true seed of Abraham is, that they've been lying and trying to shield and keep the truth away from the world. But this abomination of desolation, when Saudi Arabia is taken out, America and Britain is kicked out the Middle East, false Israel is sieged and then destroyed, and those 6 Sunni nations get exactly what you're gonna get, exactly what you deserve as well, taken out. Iran and Syria will control the whole Middle East. They will cut the oil off from going out, which is going to cause another backlash with Britain and the European nations. But this, let's just speak on this. What this abomination of death, when false Israel is seized and taken out, that's the abomination of desolation. That's the shock of the hour. It's going to shock the minds of people all over the world. It's definitely going to shock these European nations. It's going to shock all these Caucasian, all Americans. Because for what they have done to the true seed of Abraham. And the world is going to know without a shadow of a doubt that the black man and woman is the true seed of Abraham. And the world is going to know that the scriptures are being carried, the unsealed scriptures are being carried out. They're going to be able to see, if they don't look or what, there's going to be all the proof that you need to understand that the God is on the scene and that the Son of Man is on the scene. The shock of the hour. People's hearts gonna fake because they're gonna know, oh, they know time is up. time is up. And the black man and woman who we've been treating like animals, feeding them shit, raping their women, is God's chosen people. So with that, I'm gonna bring this segment to late update with Malik Haj to a close. Brothers and sisters, let me say it again. This is the last, what they say, this is the last efforts of this JCPOA. The last. So with that, I'll see you at the same time, 11 Central, 12 o'clock Eastern, and 9 o'clock Pacific. And I'll greet you as I came, in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.